Hello and welcome to another episode of the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show. We are here live on Friday morning at 10 a.m., obviously getting ready for four more Sweet 16 games this evening across the country. I will be in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium for tonight's matchup between number 2 seed Tennessee and number 3 seed Kentucky, followed by number 1 seed Houston and number 4 seed Purdue. Obviously, as a big Kentucky fan, every once in a while here on the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show, we do talk a little bit more about the Wildcats because the name has the show has my name in it, and sometimes we just get to do what I want to do. And today we were going to dive into the Tennessee Volunteers a little bit more in depth and get ready for tonight's game from a Kentucky standpoint. So, Big Blue Nation, I hope you are following today's episode live, or you have some time to watch it in the future before tonight's game at 7:39 p.m. Eastern Time. Please make sure you are subscribed here to the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show on YouTube. If you are watching it live, please leave the video a like as well. And then, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at BRamseyKSR as well. But we're going to go ahead and share my screen. I have, 10 or 12 clips kind of pulled up here into a video, and we're just going to kind of dive into the film room and talk a little bit about what makes Tennessee one of the best basketball teams in the country, and then how Kentucky can guard the Volunteers specifically in order to get a third consecutive win this season and complete the sweep against the Vols. And as always, as you're watching, feel free to hop into the comment section, leave a comment, ask a question, anything like that, and I will get back to you throughout today's show. But otherwise, we're going to dive right into the film. And one of the reasons why Kentucky's had some success against Tennessee this year is they've done a really good job of making Zakai Ziegler, Tennessee's All-American point guard, be more of a scorer and less of a playmaker. I believe he has 29 field goal attempts and just 12 assists in the two games against Kentucky so far. And that's a really, really good sign, in my opinion, if you're Coach Mark Pope and the Kentucky staff. But here's a clip from their round of 32 win over UCLA. And this is something that you don't want to do, in my opinion, when you're guarding Zakai Ziegler. Felix Akpar is a really good ball screener. You see how he came up here and twisted this ball screen at the last second to throw off the drop coverage of UCLA. That allows Zakai Ziegler to get downhill here. But this is a Demara. He's a high-level shot blocker for UCLA. He had 3 blocked shots in this game. This would have been last Sunday. There's really no reason to help down this aggressively off of Jordan Gainey. I would much rather see if Zakai Ziegler at 5'9" or whatever he is can finish it consistently over, whether it's Amari Williams cracking down on him or Brandon Garrison cracking down on him. Let's see if he can make that layup, because even if he does, it's only worth 2 points as opposed to giving up a wide open inside out rhythm 3 to Jordan Gainey. Let's just see if Zakai Ziegler can score it enough to win the game. Tennessee executes at a really high level offensively, but they set a ton of ball screens. Like they're probably more well known for their flow and their motion, some of the stuff they do out of secondary, certainly the floppy action that they run. But here they get into kind of an early staggered drag ball screen for Chaz Lanier. DJ Wagner does a good job of making him pick it up out there. Now they're right into another high ball screen as Felix Akpara comes up here to set one for Zakai Ziegler. And once again, he sort of came up and then twisted it at the last seconds for that. So that's something that you want to be aware of, both as the secondary defender in these situations, but then certainly on the ball as well, that they're always kind of looking at potentially twisting these ball screens at the last second. But that's why you also just need to be underneath all this stuff. You don't need to have your feet out here 3-4 feet beyond the 3-point line when you're guarding Zakai Ziegler. You want to be able to stay underneath of this ball screening action. But then also in the off chance that you, for some reason, get caught going over the top, where Akpar does a really good job screening, or let's face it, he sets an illegal screen at some point and it doesn't get called, then we just need to be more conservative in our drop coverage here. Like Jonas Adu still has his feet up here at the free throw line. Like, get to the SEC logo, and then ultimately get your feet back to the restricted arc, play with your hands up, and let's take away the lob threat from Akpara, and let's see if Zakai Ziegler, once again, let's see if he can score in this area right here over 7 foot outstretched arms. I would much rather that happen than allow him to be a playmaker and lob it up to Zakai Ziegler. We have a couple of Davidson brothers in the chat here. Thanks, Jack and Eric, for tuning in. Always enjoy talking hoops with you guys, and we'll probably see you sometime throughout the day today as well, and throughout the weekend. Getting into another ball screen action here, this time kind of a 77 staggered double ball screen set here for Tennessee as they come down the floor. Chaz Lanier sort of slips out of this first ball screen, and then Chaz Lanier just never really makes it to that second one. You don't want to let him reject these ball screens. He's really quick getting downhill, and you can see that left to right cross between the legs allows him to reject it, kind of split those two ball screens and get in there to finish an and one again. You don't need to jump out this aggressively to him. Like, you can see that staggered ball screen coming. Just play underneath it, stay between him and the basket, and make him make more contested 2-point shots as opposed to what you see there. Tennessee will start a lot of possessions here and just kind of like a staggered double away out of some secondary alignment, and that they really like to slip or back cut those screens. So here you see Chaz Lanier back cut that the staggered double, and that allows Zakai Ziegler to come off of the single here. Pretty much anytime that Zakai Ziegler is the one coming off of the screen, you should know that a ball screen is likely coming, especially when Akpara's in the game, and you see that here. And I think this is probably a called action from the sidelines for Coach Barnes when Chaz Lanier back cuts that staggered double. He's getting into a situation here to set the Spain ball screen, which means he's going to back screen Amari Williams. And, in a perfect world, you see this coming a little bit. Once again, Jackson Robinson needs to be playing underneath of that. He's not going to be in the game this evening, unfortunately. But again, there's no reason to have your feet out beyond the 3-point line guarding Zakai Ziegler. We want to stay underneath of that so we don't have to help on the roll so much, because now Otega Oweh's in a tough position. He can't really help back towards the rim because he's guarding Zakai Ziegler. Amari Williams probably doesn't even really know that the Spain part of this is coming. Colin Chandler probably should be more aggressive, tagging down off of Jemai Meshack. But in this situation, like, he was just getting minutes in games. I think now he'd probably go make an athletic play on that ball and potentially get a steal. But at that point, it was just a little too much to ask, and we have to really limit those lobs from Zakai Ziegler to Felix Akpara this evening if you're Kentucky. Here you'll see Tennessee getting into some of their patented floppy action. They run a ton of floppy in the half court, and it's in large part because Chaz Lanier is so built for it. He obviously has some size as a bigger guard, and he's also one of the premier shooters in all of college basketball. You see here he's sets his man up a little bit, and he's coming off of the staggered side of the floppy action, and he's just going to do it right into a shot. And we're going to show how we want Kentucky to guard this in a couple of clips. But really, the thing to know above all else is just the next level of urgency that that is required when you're chasing Chaz Lanier. We've seen Colin Chandler do a really good job of this season a couple of times for Kentucky. We've seen Trent Noah even do it in some spot minutes for Kentucky this season. Kobe Brea has certainly improved in this area as well, but it just takes another level of urgency if you want to take him away. And then something we're going to talk about in a couple clips, we want to follow the ball from the top and really, take jumping to the ball to a whole nother level and really follow the ball as it gets passed into their floppy and take it away that way, as opposed to after taking it away by chasing on Lanier's hip, because that's going to be really hard to do. Here's another clip of them getting into floppy. That their guys, whether it's Lanier or Gainey especially, they love these little elbow jump shots. And again, it's just all about chasing with a high level of urgency and then following the ball on that pass to try to make it as hard as possible, because otherwise he's going to curl into that and make it all game. Coach Barnes dialed up a really good counter to their floppy action against Kentucky at Rupp Arena. This is kind of like a floppy twist action where Jemai Meshack is going to curl it around and then set a screen on Ansley Olminar as Igor Milicic pops back out from the end screen for a three. This is really hard to guard. You kind of have to almost, see it coming, or especially like if Meshack's the one coming off, like, you probably could go up through that. Then you might be in a position to jump out and switch it if you're Kobe Brea. But this is just really good action, and Milicic is a really good player. He's versatile enough to do that. He's been the one really that's hurt Kentucky so far this season. 7 of 12 from 3-point range in the 2 games against Kentucky so far. But here is the clip that really showcases how Kentucky's been able to win these first two games against Tennessee and what it's going to take to beat them again on Friday night. And it really showed what I'm talking about following the ball from the top in Tennessee's floppy action. This is the first game between Kentucky and Tennessee at Thompson-Boling Arena. You see Chaz Lanier coming off of the down screen here. He gets some separation. Ortega always trying to fight over, but he's back on his hip now. But watch Kobe Brea in live action here jump down and take that away, and then gets back to recover, makes Zakai Ziegler shoot it. Now, Zakai Ziegler shot a much, much better percentage essentially against everybody else besides Kentucky this season. I think he's something like 1 for 13 against the Wildcats, and he's shooting 33% or something on the season. He's almost like 40%, I think, over the last month or so. But we would still much rather him shoot a semi-contested three-point shot than let Chaz Lanier curl into this floppy action all game long. So you really have to follow that ball aggressively as he enters it into their offense and take that away if you are whoever is guarding the guy at the top of Tennessee's offense. Here's another example of them getting into some floppy stuff, curl it. And again, we just don't want to be this aggressive on Zakai Ziegler when he's in there. Like you get caught on his hip a little bit here. That's okay. Like let the 5'9" guy curl it on in there. Let's see if he can make a floater amongst the trees. Like this is what we don't want. We don't need a second defender on Zakai Ziegler as he gets into the paint. And now you're giving up inside-out rhythm threes. Let's see if he can make paint but not restricted area twos. If he's going to lay it up at the rim, that's bad news. That means we probably had a breakdown somewhere else because we should be between him and the basket. But let's see if he can make kind of 5 to 10 foot 2-point shots and see if he can make enough to beat Kentucky this evening. Tennessee does a lot of stuff out of a secondary alignment. You see that here with a little butt screen in the middle, pop to a reversal, and then they're in to like that. They can get into zoom action on that side. They can get into a staggered double, whatever it may be. Here, Milicic kind of takes it into what could be like a little Miami handoff or whatever it ends up being, but then they just sort of slip out of it. He keeps it. The two Auburn defenders run into each other. We're going to see this in the next clip too. Anytime Milicic is driving it downhill, even if they slip it or if they screen it, just go ahead and switch that. Like it's probably going to be a like-on-like defender. Here you see it's Kobe Brea and Ansley Omanar. Not a whole lot of difference there from a defensive standpoint. Igor Milicic, and I think that's Jemai Mashak with kind of the fake handoff. Just switch that and stay between them and the basket, or it's actually coming here. We really want to. We really need to contain Milicic because he's very versatile, very skilled. Can't let him turn the corner like that and finish it at the rim. I think just the last offensive clip here. Tennessee does a lot of wheel or kind of almost like a continuity staggered double offense. Once again, you see Chaz Lanier breaking off and back cutting that first staggered double. Gets a catch. Jemai Mashak is coming off of the second staggered double. They reverse it back. He gets the catch. Now they're into a third and final staggered double along the baseline for Chaz Lanier. Again, just another level of urgency when guarding him because you have to be really careful of helping out at the point of the screens because Tennessee is so good at slipping it to a lob, or they're so good at getting the catch and then hitting them on the roll for a lob. Again, the help needs to come from right here. Follow that ball off of a guy that's not a super aggressive three-point shooter, not a super great three-point shooter in Jemai Mashak as you chase as hard as you can on the hip, then help from right here so that he can't get such a clean look. I know that's hard to do, and Akbar is a great screener. Some of them are going to be illegal. Some of them are just going to be really good screens. Is have to make it as hard as possible on Lanier from 3-point range. He's 3 of 17 in 2 games against Kentucky from 3-point range. It's hard to imagine that's going to happen again if you give him open looks, especially like we just saw there. Last thing to talk about in this film room session, Tennessee did show a 1-2-2 half-court trap against UCLA in the round of 32. This is something to be ready for. Obviously, it helps them force some turnovers, but it also serves to slow down the opposing offense a little bit. So something that Kentucky's going to have to contend with this evening. You always have to have somebody kind of back behind so you can hit and then drive at a straight line. That's going to be the real key is once you make a reversal, especially once you get kind of in this area, it has to be a reversal to a quick straight line drive to beat it on this side. Trying to throw it over the top like that, it's going to get stolen, it's going to get tipped, and then they're going to go lay it up. one more clip here. Same deal. Like, just throw it to your trail guy right here and let him get across the timeline that way. If you come into this little no man's land and you pick it up, now you essentially have a third defender in the sideline, a fourth defender in the half court line, and then obviously two Tennessee guys converging down on you. Gets tipped as you try to throw it over the top. Chaz Lanier steals it, spins, goes and lays it up, and one. That will get you beat this evening against Tennessee. I got a couple more guys in the chat. Travis says, yeah, some goats in the comment section today. Yeah, well, this is probably the most total college points scored I've ever had watching one of my film breakdown sessions. Jack and Eric help that a ton. Travis does a really good job as well. Dalton, I don't know, maybe 20 extra college points from you there. But good to see everybody in the chat this morning. Hopefully y'all can get back to work a little bit now, and we'll enjoy the afternoon heading into the Sweet 16. But there you have it for today's film breakdown. I hope that gave some insight into what to expect from the Tennessee Volunteers tonight in their Sweet 16 matchup against the Kentucky Wildcats. I really do think that this is a good matchup from a Kentucky perspective, because as efficient and as good as Tennessee really is offensively, they're not overly explosive. They're probably not going to be the team that hangs, 85, 90 points on Kentucky. Knock on wood. Let's hope that doesn't come back to bite me. But I don't think that they're going to be the team that just comes out and outscores Kentucky. Similarly, as great as they are defensively, I think that you've seen Kentucky be able to burn off some of their pressure. And then with the way that Tennessee helps so aggressively, 2 hands, 2 feet in the driving lanes, all that, while they do, they're third in the country at in defensive 3-point percentage, but they do give up a ton of 3-point looks. So I said it in shows yesterday and throughout the week. I think that Kentucky is going to have clean looks with the ball in the air to win the game tonight. Now, if they go 8 for 29 from 3, it probably won't be enough to win the game. If they can do anything like the 12 for 24 they did in each of the first 2 games, then I think that there will be a really good chance that Kentucky comes out victorious once again, gets a 3-game sweep against the Volunteers, and advances to the Elite Eight. But that's why you play the games. It's going to be 2 really good teams going at each other tonight in Indianapolis, and I cannot wait to be there for it. But thank you all for tuning in here live today. If you are watching sometime before the game, still make sure you leave the video a like. You can hop into the comments section, and I will get back to you before tip-off. Again, please make sure you subscribe to the Brandon Ramsey College Basketball Show YouTube channel. We have more of these videos coming to you throughout March Madness as the games continue on. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at BRamseyKSR. That's the best place to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing, college basketball related, recruiting related, and everything, even heading into the spring and summer months. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the Sweet 16 this evening, and go Cats.